Now, when it comes to high performance batteries, there certainly are a lot of choices on the market. But if you're looking specifically for premium AGM starting batteries, then look no further than Full Throttle Battery. Our feature spotlight today involves a brand that's out of California doing things just a little bit different. And I think you'll find by the end of this show, a whole lot different that delivers not only performance, value, but also long lasting life. We have their product specialist Ian joining us today to give us all the details. This is CMA Connected, brought to you by Sirius XM, all about full throttle batteries. And it starts now. What's going on, guys, and welcome to another CMA Connected, brought to you by Sirius XM. I'm your host, Ben Wu, and on the menu today is batteries. I know a lot of you are confused, just like I am, because there are so many different choices, different types, but today we're going to focus in on a brand that really has their act together, because they are not only delivering an amazing product that you'll see, but also very focused, in fact, hyper-focused on performance. Today we're talking about Full Throttle Battery, and I want to welcome Ian to the show. Ian, can you give us an outline of what we'll be covering today?
We're going to be discussing your needs, your applications, and exactly what you could expect from a high performance battery such as ours. There might be a number of options out there, but you have to take into consideration things like temperature. Temperature under the hood of the car is not what it was in 1995. In today's day and age, it is every bit of about 120 degrees warmer under the hood of that car than it used to be. And why is that? All these new OE vehicles have more flossy features than ever. And what do they all ask for? Power.
All right, Ian, we're going to have a great discussion today. But first, an opportunity for our partner, Sirius XM, to chime in and remind everybody why it's always an excellent add-on sale. And when we come back, we've got Ian in the studio, and we're talking Full Throttle Battery. Don't you dare go away.
Hi, Paul Truman here with Sirius XM. We reached out to some of our partners in the industry, and here's what they had to say.
I can't say more or enough about just what it means to have our unit working with Sirius XM. It's like we're there now.
The Sirius XM service is something consumers want, right? So it's Paul.
That allows a consumer to listen to either podcasts, entertainment, sports, all at their fingertips. It's all about engagement, and that's what Sirius XM provides.
Sirius XM is a huge component in a vehicle nowadays. Consumers expect that technology to be available both in our OEM system as well as the aftermarket upgrades that they're applying to their vehicle.
Alpine and Sirius XM, through our electronics, are able to offer the consumer on the aftermarket side Sirius XM 360L, which is an expanded platform for Sirius XM. And it's really been a beneficial relationship for us with Sirius XM.
As a dealer, just remember, we don't compete with anybody else. We are absolutely one of the best profitability accessories you can add to any head unit that is Sirius XM ready.
All right, welcome back to the show. And on today's Connected, we are, of course, talking about Full Throttle Battery. And if you haven't heard about it, this is the show for you. Ian, let's start with the story. For those who aren't aware of your brand, I want to give you an opportunity to kind of tell us about who you are and who Full Throttle Battery is anyways.
Full Throttle Battery is a premium AGM manufacturer. We've been manufacturing batteries for in excess of 25 years. Based in Southern California, when we introduced Full Throttle in 2016, it was to round out the catalog of products that we currently offer. Being a deep cycle specialist, being a battery manufacturing specialist, we took the DNA of our deep cycle line, incorporated into a thin plate pure lead technology that is second to none when it comes to quality.
Now, certainly for the purpose of this conversation, Ian, I want to really highlight the fact that not all batteries are created equal. And more specifically, I want to dive into some of the key technologies that Full Throttle Battery is advertising. And I want to make sure that our audience kind of has a better understanding of what that means at the end of the day. The first item that comes to mind is when you say that your batteries use over the partition welds. I'm trying to visualize what that means, but I'm sure you can help me understand that a little bit better.
So when it comes to over the partition welds, I really can't properly describe that without getting a little bit Ricky Bobby from Talladega Nights and start doing stuff with my hands. So over the partition welds is it's a design that essentially reduces the vibration. Well, not only does it reduce the vibration, but you can put more material in the battery by going over the top of the separators. So every 12-volt battery has 6 cells. So instead of going through the partition that separates those cells, we go over the top. It It basically creates a scenario where you have a battery that is extremely shock resistant, and with maximizing the amount of active material that we can put into that battery, you get more performance.
Ian, thank you for that explanation. And being as a car audio guy, I think what you're trying to tell me is you're jamming more surface area. That's kind of like a speaker. The bigger surface area you have in the cone, the more sound it generates. So, in other words, the more material or more surface area that you put in, the better the performance is. All right, let's move on to something that you touched on there, which is vibration. And I never really understood how vibration could play a critical role in the performance of a battery.
Vibration translates to abuse, and the more that you can do to negate vibration, the better. And in our situation, you take thin plates, highly compressed, into the cell, over the top partitions like we just discussed. It creates an environment where I'm not telling you to literally take our battery down to the Home Depot and throw it in a paint shaker, but you could do that. In essence, when you compress that material into a small space like that, where does it have to go? So the higher the compression, the more lead, the more surface area equals greater performance.
Now, obviously, Ian, when it comes to battery, one of the main purpose of it is to use it when you need it, and then, of course, recharge it to be able to use it again. I'd like to talk a little bit more about how the full throttle batteries perform in this aspect and what to expect from a user standpoint.
Yeah, as far as the battery goes, we offer a thin plate pure lead AGM, like I have mentioned, but it is a true dual purpose battery. A lot of people advertise that they have a dual purpose battery within the AGM format. We would, I'm not going to say pump the brakes, but we have something for that. The thin plate pure lead technology and the plates in our battery, based on a lead calcium plate that is very, very specific to our deep cycle line. As you know, deep cycle is made to be taken down to a high rate of discharge and have the ability to get brought back up. With those similar DNA footprints, the full throttle battery and the deep cycle line share that DNA. So in essence, we've offered an SLI, which is starting, lighting, and ignition battery that fits into virtually every OE application on the road today that has a little bit of that DNA in it. So when you need something to perform like winching, like car audio, and that battery is subjected to a high rate of discharge, the battery is made to recover.
All right, Ian, now that we've covered some of these key technologies that I think everybody needs to understand, let's go a little bit deeper and talk about the selection of product that is available. So we have 3 different series to cover, and you've mentioned it a few times. Let's start with the full throttle, which seems to be a go-to series. What about the full throttle makes it special, and who's the customer for the full throttle battery?
When you talk about service life, cost of service, the customer for a full throttle battery is virtually anyone. But it is absolutely to those that put their battery to the test. They live in a hot temperature. They live in a cold temperature. They run winches. They run lighting. They run car audio, anything of that nature that puts that battery through the paces. That is our customer. But like I said, when you look at the cost of the full throttle battery versus what you would pay at an OE dealership, you're going to find that we're very, very attractive and highly competitive.
Now, as far as applications, is this a wide range of different sizes and fitments?
Absolutely. As far as manufacturing goes, of the thin plate pure lead technology, we have more coverage across the scope than any other manufacturer on the planet. We start down at 9 amp hour and work our way up to 115, 260, somewhere in that ballpark. It doesn't matter if it's a bulldozer. It doesn't matter if it's some sort of small power sport quad. We have that coverage.
Well, now I can see exactly why the full throttle battery is so popular. It's got the wide range of applications and, of course, the performance to boot. Now, as we move down to the DC series, or should I say across to the DC series, please take the time to explain what this series is meant to do and what are the applications.
As far as the applications go, how long do you have? In terms of a deep cycle, they get used all over the place. I could go into specifics, but just to give you a little snapshot, we're talking RVs, we're talking golf carts, we're talking boats, we're talking wheelchairs, anything that you could think of that needs a deep cycle battery, we have a fitment for based on amp hour. And that DC stands for just that, deep cycle.
All right, so we've covered the full throttle. You've heard from Ian about the DC or deep cycle batteries. And one last option that you'll see on the website is, of course, the EGL. I'm curious to see where the placement for the EGL goes.
After spending decades in the battery business, I can attest to you it is impossibly difficult to use and make a deep cycle battery with the AGM format. Many have tried. Technically, they make like a standby battery, and it pains me to say that, but the UPS batteries that are being used today in deep cycle applications, those batteries primarily are designed to start a generator at a hospital when the power goes out. So essentially, they're providing power for about 5 seconds. The generators turn on, and then the batteries are dormant again. It is exceedingly, I know I'm repeating myself, it's exceedingly difficult to actually make a deep cycle battery in AGM. The EGL Series we have brought to the market in some very specific footprints based on the golf market, the marine market, and the RV market. When we were coming up with nomenclatures for the EGL series, based on the performance that we were testing this battery at, we came up with AGM Perfected. It is absolutely off the charts how this battery performs. We don't see them back. We've sold tens of thousands of these batteries. They don't come back. And they are now the OE in a handful of mobility and golf applications. It simply is just that, AGM perfected.
All right, Ian, we've come to the end of our conversation. Thank you for taking the time to explain some of the key technologies that your batteries offer, as well as covering the 3 different series on today's discussion, the full throttle, as well as the DC, and of course the EGL that we just discussed. What final message do you have for any dealers tuning in that might be interested in trying out one of your full throttle EGL or DC batteries?
I would highly encourage anybody that's interested in this line to head on over to fullthrottlebattery.com. All 3 of the lines that we've discussed today and the information about those batteries are on that website. You can reach out to us with questions, whether it be on the full throttle line and the battery that you need for your JK Jeep or your Yamaha golf cart, or if you really want to step up to the EGL series, which I have basically called the lithium killer. Why do we call it the lithium killer? Because it performs like lithium and it costs like AGM. It's not coming back. It's not going to let you down. So if you want information about this, head over to fullthrottlebattery.com. All the information is available. Reach out to us anytime. We are a very, very talented team. We are always available, and we are looking forward to conversations like this.
And that was Ian Blomgren from Full Throttle Battery joining us for today's Connected. Now, as he had mentioned, if you're interested in finding out more details, specifications, dimensions, head on over to their official website. We'll put it on the screen right now at fullthrottlebattery.com. And if you happen to be a Canadian dealer tuning in, well, don't worry. They have a distribution partner in Dick's Performance. Make sure you hit up the team at Dick's to get a sample for you to try out for yourself. Now, my takeaway, I find this extremely interesting. Some of the claims that these guys are making are absolutely legit. You know, lithium has certainly taken on a lot of space in the market, but man, a great AGM reliable battery source is nothing to sneeze at. And what Full Throttle Battery represents is not only a pedigree in the category, but they've come up with some key technologies to optimize this format. From what I've heard, this is a built to last type of battery. The technology that they have implemented to reduce vibration, to work in all kinds of temperature, all comes to play. Because at the end of the day, if you're installing a battery in a customer's car, you want 2 things. A, it's got to perform. And B, you don't want it coming back. That's it for this CMA Connected, brought to you by Sirius XM. I'm your host, Ben Wu. Until next time, we connect.